Well, this has been extremely informative. Do you have any questions of us in terms of what we've done here in Korea, or
Yeah, well, I mean, Korea, what is it like? I have no idea. I've never been there.
yeah,
I did
so the
Taiwan last year, though.
yeah
Yeah.
the entire country is riddled, literally rife with trails. No cars. There's bike paths, fully paved, everywhere
Hmm.
and all over. I think there's something like 10,000 kilometers throughout the entire country. There's the Four Rivers Trail, which is a series of interconnected, long, very well maintained bike paths. And there's a system of what do you have? It's they're like phone booths, and you can get a passport from the tourism office, and you can stamp them. And if you get all
Yeah.
the stamps on a particular path, then you can get a medal and recognition, and it's kind of a cool thing. We've done two of the trails,
Hmm.
but we missed a couple of the
So you didn't get your
so
medal.
we didn't get medal
Yeah,
the pathway.
that's cool.
Um, Korea is a tremendously mountainous country, which I think a lot of people don't realize.
Hmm.
So the first, when we went from Seoul to Busan in the south, we transected the country from the northwest to the southeast,
Hmm.
and on the Four Rivers Trail, the Hangang, and that was not as mountainous. I mean, there's still some heavy duty climbs, but nothing sustained. You're up and you're down, in a matter of an hour or whatever it is.
Okay.
But the trip that we did this year, which was the East Coast, we went from Sokjo to Busan. So we went down the entire East Coast, almost from North Korea all the way down to the south of the country of South Korea. And I got to tell you, it's not flat.
Oh, really?
I mean, we were up and down and up and down and up and down for 5 days. It was almost to a crawl, because the ups were very, very steep, 12%, 14% grade going up, and then a nice, coast down into the next fishing village.
And then
And
do
then
it
as soon
all
as
over
you get to the
again.
village, you just do it all over again. So you're
Yeah.
almost to a crawl going up these hills. And but it was great. Each trip took us about 5 or 6 days. We did about 100 kilometers a day. Um, and we did a little couple side trips. When we first arrived in Korea, about 3 years ago, the bike culture was alive and well, but it's growing.
Hmm.
There's a great bike club called the Han River Riders, and it's run by a guy by the name of Tim Travis, and he's fantastic. He does all these amazing club rides and events. We do a bunch of different centuries throughout the year, challenge rides, things like that. So it's a traditional bike club. It's not designed for touring,
Yeah.
but there are factions within the club that tour. So
Cool.
yeah.
What about, is it like all city, or are there like wilderness areas
Oh
or?
yeah. So once you get out of the city, Korea is very rural. It's a lot of farmland.
Hmm.
Uh, as I said, there's mountains all around, and then the middle of the country is kind of a basin. So you know, there were times when 50 miles in either direction, there was just nothing but bike path and heat and the distant farmer, picking rice in the field. And it's an impressive country. It's beautiful, but it is rural. Once you get out of the city centers, it gets very, very much country. And if
Hmm.
you're not prepared, when we did the ride, the temperature was over 100 degrees. So it was, if you're not moving, you're baking.
Yeah. And what, were you camping or staying in hotels or?
We stayed in these things called love motels. They're like, I mean, they bill by the hour kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're a little seedy, but they're all over the country.
Hmm.
So as soon as you ride into a town or a small village, they'll have these little hard to describe it. It's like a little icon, and it looks like a cup of tea with three little pieces like steam rising from the cup of tea.
Yeah.
And that's the sign that it's a love motel.
Hmm.
And so we just stayed. We did that. We didn't camp because we were unclear about where we can camp. Language barrier is relatively significant, so we didn't know. I saw in your videos about kind of stealth camping.
Yeah.
We didn't want to try that because we just didn't know what the rules were around that.
Yeah.
Down the East Coast, there's quite a bit of ability to camp on the water, on the ocean, right on the beach. But during the one that we did the year before, there's a ton of rural camping possibilities, but we just didn't know what was what.
I imagine it's like Taiwan to a certain extent. Like I was in Taiwan last winter, and I thought that we would have to camp more than we did, but every little town had a place to stay, even the tiniest little places sometimes.
And our experience in Taiwan was fantastic as well, but it's a lot of riding on the road and riding on highways and streets. Whereas in Korea, if you're on the bike paths, there's no cars. I mean, it's strictly bikes, and like 80% of the paths are all non-vehicle, non-motorized vehicles.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is.
2017 maybe.
There you go.
Me. Yeah.
If you come this way, you'll have a place to stay. Or we can launch you.
Yeah. What are you guys doing there? I mean, what brought you there?
We teach at Seoul International School.
Oh.
And, we're teachers. My wife is a special educator, and I'm an English teacher, high school. And we left the United States to travel and to teach and to see the world and bike, and here we are.
That's cool. That's really cool. And you're learning the language?
Enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
I can direct a taxi, and I can order food and make sure I know where the bathrooms are.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't have any vocabulary, so I can read Korean, and very slowly. I can sound words out because I know the alphabet, but I don't know what I'm saying. And unless it's an anglified word, meaning that it's like Coca-Cola, something along those lines, it's hard to retain the vocabulary as an adult, language learner. My brain doesn't have the capacity anymore.
Yeah. I've already forgotten all the Chinese that I learned while I was in Taiwan. So, yeah.
Now, did you make it all the way up the East Coast to Taipei?
Yeah. Well, we started in Taipei, kind of went down the East Coast, and then we went back on the West Coast. Maybe I don't know. Up to what's that? Sun Moon Lake, kind of on the west side, and then cut back over to the east side, essentially. Yeah, so that's
we didn't do nearly that much. We did about 300 kilometers. It wasn't really, it was a great ride, but it wasn't, days and days and days. I think we spent 4 days on the bike. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were there for 30, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was cool.
Is this your life, right? This is what you do. You tour and you blog and you
and
books
and like I work with like companies also like CoMotion, for example, that I'm riding their bike. Like I tell them like you should change this thing on the back of it, because it's I don't know, just like this much wrong or something, and also like work with touring companies around the world to kind of like they have questions about what are your readers looking for in tours, and what kind of services do they expect, and blah 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 blah. So just a combination of random things like that. But
if we could send out a message to the touring bike manufacturers that if there was a place that we could go to, actually I would go there. I mean, as soon as I go to the United States, I would hop on a plane or a train or drive or even ride a bike there to be able to touch and to feel and to ride and to compare the different touring bikes.
Yeah.
I know it's a specialized field. It seems like their retailers are missing a part of the market that's pretty big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be awesome if there was one place like that, but then there's the whole world, you know what I mean? Like, even if there was just like one in each continent or something, that would
Right,
be
right.
pretty spectacular, you know? But I don't know if it would be worth the money for them to do it. That's the problem, you know? It all comes back to money, sadly, you know? But I do know, I mean, I don't know when are you planning to buy your bikes? Like before you go or once you get over there?
Well, after speaking with you, one of the things that I'm realizing is that we probably could purchase bikes here
Yeah.
and actually ride them during the winters here traditionally are pretty cold, but I'm okay with winter riding. As long as there's no snow on the ground, then I'm okay.
Hmm.
And with the bike paths, they do a pretty good job of clearing them off. Um, so potentially, instead of going to the United States and then purchasing a setup, and then a week later getting on the road,
Yeah.
I think it would be a great thing to go through the process of getting the bike now, riding it through the spring, and actually having it be my rig until we leave for the summer.
Yeah, because then you can test it out and
Right, and
change
adjust.
these little things. Whereas you
Right.
get there and you're
So
just going to add a lot of stress to your trip, I think.
and I don't think that it would be unreasonable to find a retailer that could order a Surly. Knowing what I know about the bike retailers here,
Yeah.
there's tons, and there's even if I contacted Surly or Kona and had them ship a bike directly to me,
Yeah.
and then and we've got several bike shops that I can go to mechanics that speak English, and
Yeah.
so I'm thinking that that might be the way to go. I've already got two bikes. I've got a felt road bike that's full carbon, weighs less than my dog does, and then I've got a Trek, it's like a hybrid cross.
Hmm.
It's just a commuter, but we used it to ride across Korea twice now, and it's a great bike.
That's cool.
Yeah. So a third bike in the small
I
apartment.
know, that's the problem with
Uh,
these bikes. I got a whole garage of bikes back home too, and mountain bikes, and two mountain bikes, and folding bike, and
yeah.
three touring
That's the
bikes.
other thing here in Korea. Folding bikes are
Yeah.
so popular. I mean,
Hmm.
it's these just single speed, and the wheelbase is wheels are this big, and um, we've got some friends who teach with us who have a setup. It's something called an extra cycle. I don't know
Oh
if you're
yeah.
familiar with it,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool. It just extends the drivetrain out,
Yep.
and they have. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's the bike that my friend Pablo was riding with the dog on the back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, so I'll send you the link so you can see how he did
Yeah,
it. But
that would be great.
yeah,
Thank you.
but it's such a heavy bike, you know.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that we're strong enough to deal with the weight, but at the same time, if we can reduce that weight down as much as possible, that would be the key.
Yeah.
Have you ever ridden on a Brooks saddle? What kind of saddle do you use now?
I don't ride one, and the reason I haven't had one in years past is like I'm vegetarian and I try not to buy like animal made products, but they now have like a vegan saddle or whatever, so maybe I should get one.
It's like a synthetic leather.
Yeah, something like that. But that is the reason I haven't had one in the past. Is just like, oh, I don't really want to promote killing cows so your butt is comfortable or whatever. but
It,
but
yeah,
I've never really said that either because I didn't want to like influence people either way or whatever. So
I
yeah.
understand.
But no, I think they are good seats. Yeah.
Well, it's been great to talk to you. I would love to stay in contact with you, perhaps via email or Facebook or
Yeah.
even Skype, as we kind of move in the direction. Where are you in the States now?
Well, right now I'm just staying with my parents in Southern California, kind of here for the holidays. So
We're up in LA, so
yeah, yeah. So I'm in Camarillo. I don't know if you know where that is. UCLA. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm like an hour north of there. I said
yep,
45
yep.
minutes or so. But yeah, so I'm just here for a little while, and I don't really have plans until May. I think I might do like a mini bike tour from like Oregon back down to here or something like that in the meantime, but I don't know yet. I'm still kind of figuring that out.
If you get a hankering to come to Korea and ride in the spring,
Yeah.
a huge bike community here, and we'd certainly love to host you. And like I said, as we move toward this next step, we'd love to keep in touch, and we really appreciate all that you have to offer in terms of your products and your knowledge and your experience. And
well, thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for reading all this stuff. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I do want to know what you end up buying as far as a bike and how you end up getting it set up and stuff. So I'd like to see a picture of that, you guys on the road or something.
You bet, absolutely. You know? I think that what I'm leaning toward is the Surly with the brifters, not the bar ends, but the actual brake shifters. I'm still in the process of reading about disc brakes versus caliper brakes. Again, you're the expert. I don't know if you ride, discs.
I've done both. Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
Now that I have ridden both, I would say disc are way better. I mean, and I think the whole touring industry is going towards disc brakes. I think if you 10 years from now, probably every bike will have disc brakes on it. And
it's hard to switch out the infrastructure on a bike from disc brakes to non-disc brakes. So, for instance, if we were going to be riding around the world, I'd probably want to go with a caliper brake because it's easier to fix and I can manage it myself.
Right.
Disc brakes are a lot more moving parts and kind of more difficult to. I'm not a bike mechanic. So.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think disc brakes are really that many more parts. My disc brakes are, it's built into the frame, and as long as the frame doesn't break, you'd be okay. You know what I mean? I would maybe just bring obviously spare the disc pads themselves because I burn through those quite quickly. But the pad, it's the metal part. Maybe just bring a spare of that. Yeah, the rotor, and that's it. Because that's going to be the part that you aren't going to be able to find anywhere. If you break that off, you run into a curb or something and it breaks or bends, you could be in big trouble. But if you just have a spare, which is not that heavy or take up much space, then you're good to go. So, yeah, I honestly think disc brakes are the way to go.
Okay. But, the only negative thing that we've heard about them is that when they get wet and you're heading downhill, they get a little loud.
Yeah, that's all right. Who cares? It's loud.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. I mean, as long as I stop,
Right.
That's
exactly
all that matters. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
This
has been really kind of above and beyond. I appreciate you taking the time.
It was fun talking to you. Yeah, you're getting me excited. I wanted the Northern Tier. I've cycled across the U.S. 6 times on different, Pacific Coast, East Coast, the Mississippi River, Transamerica, etc. But the Northern Tier is really the only one. That and the what's it called, the off-road one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one.
I forget the name of it. But anyways,
this is kind of a personal thing for me. My father was and my mother, before they passed away, they were big bicyclists, and my dad, along with my mom for part of it, did the entire circumference of the U.S. and did an X, so Seattle to Key West, San Diego to Bar Harbor.
Wow.
Did the full Seattle to San Diego, did Disney to Disney, but he never did the Northern Tier. And I think the mountains just really, I don't know if they intimidated him or if they just kind of, it just never, plus he rode across China, he did all this stuff. And so kind of for posterity's sake, I really want to do the Northern Tier to kind of complete it for him. It'd be a great thing.
Yeah. I regret
sections.
Yeah, that's true. I regret doing the Trans-American route. That's the classic cross-country one.
Yeah.
But, I thought it was pretty boring, actually, compared to, the other routes in America that I've done. And I think if I could do it all over again, I'd do the Northern Tier instead, because I think it's much more beautiful scenery up there.
Do you ride for charity at all? Or do you do ever, in these trips, do you do them merely for the... you sponsor organizations, or do they sponsor you and then kind of do this kind of GoFundMe stuff where people will raise money for good causes?
I've never done it myself, to be honest, but I've had hundreds of my readers do bike tours for causes and stuff, and they're always asking me for tips, but I've never done it, and I, I don't have a
You're a
good
purist.
I don't have a good answer why really. It's just I guess I just haven't wanted to or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
yeah. Just you're all about the bike, which
yeah,
is good.
just the experience. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you know. So, well,
All
thank you.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Stay in touch.
All right.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.